rooms. That's what I do. But it was weird because it was like, I know that you're not telling me the truth, or I know you are telling me the truth. And I knew it on this gut level. And that the telepathy really kind of kicked up in that time. And it was my angel's way of kind of making me aware of the behind the scenes, so to speak. So I know my exit was the right thing to do. It's about mercy, invention, magnetism, competitiveness, imagination, and making life choices or decisions. So when you think of 5, think of change. A decision is coming. Something is about to shift for you. It's time for you to go into a different direction and evaluate the course of your life. So that is why you'll see those 5s when it's trying to get you ready. And something I want to stop here and tell you too, you don't have to remember everything I say or have this radio show on instant download and repeat, though it would be wonderful. But here's the thing. This is available information to you. Joanne Sacred Scribes is one of my favorite sites. I feel like she gives a very warm and full, well-rounded insight into these numbers. Now, you can cross-check. There's Doreen Virtue. There are other intuitive journals. There's one called the Intuitive Journal. And they'll be in your top Google searches if you type in angel meaning or angel numbers. But Joanne Sacred Scribes really has my heart. She really hits these dead on. So this information is available to you via Joanne Sacred Scribes on Google. And you can find her site easily. And there is a plethora of information on numbers. I mean, she goes into numbers like 779 and 216. I mean, if you see a number, you can find a definition. She has done this through channeling work where she's asked the angels what they all mean. And then she's blended the vibrations of these basic numbers. So here's the thing when I say that. If you know 1 through 9 or 1 through, 0 through 9, you will understand what it means, and you'll be able to start to piece these puzzles together for yourself. Be dependent on no one. It's nice to have a resource. I think it's wonderful that we can cross-check all these resources. I used to have to get the Encyclopedia Britannica, if you guys remember that thing. I used to have to pull out the dictionary. I didn't have it on my phone, and I have to find out information about the world. Now we have this beautiful tool at our fingertips, so use it. You see a number? How quick is it for you at your desk to be like, oh, I just saw 333. What does that mean? Look it up. It takes like 1 minute, guys. Do yourself that favor and start to educate yourself. And that way you are dependent on nobody, which is the best way to be spiritually, in my opinion. So we'll go back to 5. Negatively, when you're dealing with 5, it can be about being rash or irresponsible and inconsistent. Now, again, that deals with the energy of change. You see how well that kind of dovetails into each other? If you're making changes, you're having to make a decision. You may have to make a quick decision, and maybe something you get to mull over, but you will have to take a step in a direction. And when you're dealing with the opposite side of 5, sometimes you can be rash when you're taking that step. So we want to make sure that what you're doing is measured. Check your thoughts when they come up. Am I wanting to take a rational step or am I being irrational? Is this change that's coming for me something I know has been coming like I did when I was in my situation? Or is it something that I'm doing on an impulsive behavior or an impulsive kind of thought? So just see where you are with yourself when these numbers come up to you. For 6, we're dealing with the energies of balance, unconditional love, harmony, home, parenthood, empathy, burden, fearing, firmness, healing, idealism, circulation, peacefulness, reliability, provision, providing, and economy. Here's the thing about 6, guys. Now, we all have heard this number biblically. We've heard 666, and we know it's like, oh, it's the devil, and what does that mean? Here's the thing. You know how they say that money is the root of all evil? When we're dealing with 6, we are dealing with economy. We are dealing with exchange of energy via funds, which is our monetary system. So when you see 666, which sometimes I've seen, when you see this number, it means that sometimes you're being a little bit shallow. This is a negative side of 6. It means that you might have a weakness or impracticality, or you're feeling unsupported, or you're being a little bit selfish, or you're very, very stressed out. So don't think it's all bad, like, oh, I'm being slapped on the wrist. This is your way of your angels saying, hey, you're getting a little out of focus here. You're really worried about things that don't really matter. You're stressed out. That is when you'll see that 666. It doesn't mean it's the mark of the beast. Doesn't mean you're the devil. I'm sure in biblical terms it has its own connotation. But here, guys, I want to strip away that indoctrination and not to dissuade you from your own beliefs biblically. But I need you to understand that when you're seeing this number in your daily life, there is a practical application, and it is not judgment. It is an observation that you need to shift your energy into a place that resonates with a higher vibration. Okay. And I'll get real simple with it. Stop worrying about the little things. You know, they say don't sweat the small stuff. When you see 666 or 6 or 66, you have been sweating the small stuff. And money, even though it seems like a huge thing in our life, is really the small stuff. And when I have been worried about money, I have seen this number and I never thought, oh, I need to get the holy water. What I thought was, you're worried about being provided for. There is enough abundance in the universe for everybody. There's enough for everybody, and you will get what you need and more. Your cup will run over. I just speak good over myself when I see 6 because I know that I'm in this tight human spot that's very normal, guys, where I'm thinking, oh no, what's going to happen isn't enough. And I'm squeezing. Think of squeezing your fist. That's the energy that I see with 666. It's that greed. It's that there's not enough. It's that the resources are going to run out. It's the panic. You hear the panic in my voice? That is the adverse energy of 6. So pay attention to where you are. If you're standing at the grocery store looking at your checkbook and hoping that you're going to cover everything and you get a 666 or a 66, your angels are talking to you and they're saying, remember where your abundance comes from. It's not from this world. It's from universal source. So that's what's happening when you see 6. Now 7. I told you guys this is my jam. I love this number so much. And what's interesting, the way that this lesson came about this week is I had been out of my own personal alignment. I had been worried and trying to scramble around and do many things like I told you last week. And I just wasn't feeling like myself. And I was doing some reading and my angel said to me, look up. I actually opened my email. And it said 777. I know you guys are appalled. Alicia out there, you and I understand our email situation. But it said 777. And it can go higher or lower on any given day. But I had 777 emails. So I took a screenshot of it. And I thought, oh, okay, whatever. And then I kept going on and I didn't pay attention. And my angels tapped me on the shoulder, as they are wont to do. And they said, look up that number. Something, guys, because this number is so much of my jam, I've created a piece of art that hangs in the proper feng shui area of my house that enhances metal, which is the energy of metal here with this number as well. Which we'll talk about in another time, but I hung this and I made it a metallic piece of art and I put 777 synchronicity. And so that I could start to bring that energy of synchronicity into it. So I'm like, angels, why do I have to read this number again? I literally have it hanging up in this part of my house. And I really know about this number. I really like this number. This is my jam. So I'm good. I'm not going to read it. I don't pay attention. I keep going on. And then they throw it in my face one more time in an article I'm reading, not my email. So I said, okay, it's in the email. It's in the article. I'm going to go read the number. I was blown away. It's so amazing, the things we think we know, and sometimes we're reminded that we don't. This is the energy of 7. It resonates with the vibrations of collective consciousness, of faith and spirituality. Now, mind you, I was feeling out of alignment. I was like, what am I doing all of this for? This is a lot of busyness and it's a lot of things and a lot of moving parts. Is this going to pay off? Am I even on my path? Because I too have doubts, like a human, like you, and I worry sometimes. Am I doing the right thing? Is this move, the next move, I'm going to make the right thing? And here's what my sweet, loving, and insightful angel said to me. Collective consciousness, Monette, your faith, your spirituality, spiritual awakening, awareness, spiritual enlightening, spiritual acceptance and development, mysticism, intuition, and inner knowing, inner wisdom, psychic abilities, the esoteric and inner selves, deep contemplation, introspection, eccentricity, that's totally me, religion, thoughtfulness, understanding of others, a natural healer and healing, secrets, myth, rituals, peace, poise, emotions, and feelings, 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 feelings. Guys, I'll stop there. For so many years of my life, and I've shared this with you, I've had people tell me, oh, you worry too much about your feelings, and oh, you couldn't really possibly feel that, when I could be looking at them and knowing things that they were thinking. It was unnerving, maybe even a little creepy. I'll admit it. I didn't understand it at first myself, but I began to hone it and harness this gift. And these feelings that I have are more than just feelings. They are deep intuitions, which you are also privy to. I'm not talking about by getting a reading from me. I'm talking about tapping into your feelings and your emotions. Never, ever allow anyone to discredit the things that you are feeling, because they are our first indicator. It's our first opportunity to know whether we need to go right or left. You have that in you. Now, these numbers and this angel communication, this universal language, helps you tap into that in a more succinct and specific way. That's what I love about the numbers, because you don't have to wonder what you were thinking. You can know, oh, that number popped up. What was I thinking? You can really get a hold and see where your thought patterns are. What tapes are you playing in your head? Back to 7. It's about perseverance and endurance. Now, here I was asking, have I done too much? Am I doing too much? Am I going in the right direction? And my angels say, endure, persevere. Tap into your inner strength. Have a persistence of your purpose, Monette. Be the person that is able to bear hardships. Have a quick wit. Understand that this path that you're on means that you sometimes might be a loner. That's one of the aspects of 7. It might be solitary. It might have isolation. You have to be long-sighted and a visionary in this 7. You have to be a nonconformist in this 7. I once had a man tell me once, a boss of mine, Monette, you always kick against the pricks. I never heard that phrase. I was in my young 20s. And I thought, kick against the pricks? What does that mean? It meant that I didn't bend to the will of others easily. This has always been my path. And I ask you today, guys, what has your path always been? Who have you always been? Have you always been the round peg that never fit into the square hole? Who have you been? Have you judged yourself and thought that you should conform and that maybe you didn't fit in and maybe you're in the wrong place? I challenge you today to look at yourself differently and know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. You're on your path, and there is a purpose for every time you didn't fit, for every time it didn't go easy, for every time you were marching to the beat of your own drummer. Do not judge yourself. Stand no more in condemnation from others. There is no bar to meet. You are the bar. And you're doing amazing. And that's what 7 reminds us. It's about independence and individualism and intentions. And again, manifesting and manifestation. That's why I put up 777 synchronicity, because I wanted to really get into that synchronistic flow. It's about good fortune, mental analysis, philosophy, technicality, scientific research. I'm such a nerd, guys. I am reading cross sections of all kinds of information before I come in here to share with you. And that's just in my daily life. When I said that I ingest all this for you and I'm happy to give it back, it is true. It so enriches me. But it's about being a genius, having a keen mind, specializing, and the specialist, the inventor, determination, the written word. It's about logic, understanding, discernment, knowledge seeking, study, education, writing, the writer, evolution, stability, the ability to set limits. I'm going to stop there for a second, because when you are on this path, a spiritual path of any kind, there will be moments when your boundaries are tested, where you will have to establish and set boundaries for yourself that feel healthy. People will want your energy. If you feel this kind of churning in your soul and you think you might have a calling like this, then understand that your boundaries and limits will be tested. So when I see 7, now thank you, angels, for the reminder, you have to set limits. You have to be stoic, refined, chaste, have dignity, have rigor, have a certain aesthetic, and be ahead of your time. Now, the negative vibrations are sometimes having depression. I think this is fascinating. Why had I never read this before? So many artists and creatives that I know really kind of seesaw between this because there's a heavy mantle. I was watching an interview with a hip hop artist, Wale actually, who was talking about how he deals with depression. And I thought, wow, he's being very forthright and vulnerable, but it's the mantle. And my angels just whispered, it's the mantle that you carry when you're a creative, to get that out of you, to produce, to have it received. There's such a heavy burden in that space. And sometimes creatives can be prone to that. Now, we've seen that with all manner of celebrity, from Michael Jackson on down. People left early. I was just watching a beautiful documentary with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Heath Ledger. These incredible talents, giants,